What has been promised has now come to you. Daʿwat al-Rāfiḍīyah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وخاتم المرسلين محمد بن عبد الله وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His holy book says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ وَإِنَّهَا لَكَبِيرَةٌ إِلَّا عَلَى الْخَاشِعِينَ. صدق الله العلي العظيم. And seek help through patience and prayer. Indeed, it is a burden except for the humble. Brothers and sisters, in the last episode, we discussed the importance of prayer, and we went through the narration of Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam with Hammad on the ways to pray, or the best ways to properly pray. Now, in this episode, we are going to go through the other concept that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had put for us, and He said in His holy book, and seek help through patience and prayer. So today we're going to be talking about patience. Now, to understand this concept, we need to see how Quran looked at patience and how did our scholars divide patience into what. So a beautiful hadith to start with is a hadith by Amir al-Mu'mineen, al-Imam Ali alayhi salam, where he says, Al-sabr, imma sabrun ala al-musiba, aw ala al-ta'a, أو عن المعصية. So Imam Ali alayhi salam says, patience is either enduring affliction or in abundance or abstraining from disobedience. Also in another hadith, Imam Ali alayhi salam says, الصبر عن الشهوة عفة وعن الغضب نجدة وعن المعصية ورع. Patience in restraining desires is a chastity. In suppressing anger is a salvation. And in avoiding sin is piety. So now that we have seen some types of patience and we have looked at the importance of patience, and those types of patience that we put up in this hadith is the main patience types or the main patience categories that our scholars would categorize any action under. So these are the main three categories. Now, I want you to think about something. What is one action that a Muslim does every year at a specific time of the year that combines all those different types of patience? It's easy. And we are in the month of it. Fasting. Shahru Ramadan is a month put by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala where we fast for a whole month. And guess what? This concept, this action is literally patience. And this is how our scholars defined patience in this ayah, in the ayah that we have recited in the beginning. This is why, brothers and sisters, fasting is among the acts of worship that are based on the pillars of patience and encompasses all types of patience. Let's look at it. Patience on obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are obeying the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by fasting. Patience in avoiding forbidden deeds and desires. We are restraining from food. We are restraining from the haram look. We are restraining from anything that would cause you to break your fast. This is what you leave the forbidden deeds and the desires, and you're abstraining from sins. And the last part is patience on enduring all the pains and of hunger and thirst. This weakness, this self-weakness, we are training our bodies to what? Endure that pain. And this clearly can be seen when we look at the ahadith, the narrations by our dear Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as he called Shahru Ramadan, the month of Ramadan, the month of patience. And it's also narrated that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, fasting is half of the patience. Also, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to explain to us how we can get the best out of this month and how can we get the best out of our fasting. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam brought us a beautiful hadith. Rasulullah says, نور الحكمة الجوع ورأس الدين ترك الدنيا والقرب إلى الله حب المساكين والدنو منهم والبعد عن الله الذي تقوى به المعاصي هو الشبع فلا تشبعوا بطونكم فيطفأ نور الحكمة في صدوركم فإن الحكمة تسطع في القلب مثل السراج. So the light of wisdom is hunger, and the essence of religion is the attachment from the world, and getting closer to Allah is through loving the poor and being close to them. And staying away from Allah is the only way which sins become stronger is satiation. So do not satiate your stomachs, lest the light of wisdom in your chest extinguishes. Indeed, wisdom shines in the hearts like lamp. And this is how Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi explains to us how this hunger that we feel throughout the day is not necessarily a negative thing. No, yet it's a positive thing. It is something to teach us how to have patience throughout our day so we can get prepared and we can think not out of our lust, yet out of our minds. Now, unfortunately, when we see someone fasting, they tend to be mad, easy to trigger off. And when you go to ask them, no, leave me, I'm hungry. I haven't had food for hours. Now, I would like you to look at this hadith and now tell me that you're hungry and you want food, because hunger now is the light of wisdom. And let's look at the other part of hadith. And the essence of religion is the detachment from the world. And this is what we do every day. But unfortunately, we do not enjoy that moment, the moments of prayer or the moments when we go and read dua. Let's take this month as a starting point to start doing that. Detach yourself from the world, sit down between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and recite dua with a pure heart. Let's look at the third part of the hadith, as the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam gives us something to take out of this month and to help others. He said, what? Get closer to those who are poor and help them. As much as you get closer to those who are in need, you get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because this way you leave your nafs, you leave what your lust and soul tells you, and you work with pure humanity towards others. And here we can clearly see that there is a concept that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to teach us. And just to explain to others, why do we fast? قال الإمام الصادق عليه السلام, Imam Sadiq عليه السلام says, أما العلة في الصيام ليستوي به الغني والفقير وذلك لأن الغني لم يكن ليجد مس الجوع فيرحم الفقير لأن الغني كلما أراد شيئا قدر عليه فأراد الله عز وجل أن يسوي بين خلقه وأن يذيق الغني مس الجوع والألم ليرق على الضعيف ويرحم الجائع. So Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, as for the wisdom behind fasting is to equalize between the rich and poor. This is because the rich would not have experienced the touch of hunger. Thus, through fasting, they may empathize with the poor. For whenever the rich desire something, they can easily afford it. Therefore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Exalted, wills to level between His creatures and to make the rich taste the touch of hunger and pain so they may empathize with the weak and have mercy on the hungry. And towards the end of this video, I want you to take something out of this. Let's look at the trend here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not only helping us train our bodies, but is helping us train our souls. And I want you to look at something. What does the body need to stay strong and fit? It needs both exercise and food. Subhanallah, this is the golden recipe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given us in one ayah. وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ, and seek help through what? Patience and prayer. This is what? Exercise and food for your soul. As the food for the soul is prayer and dua, and exercise for your soul is what? patience, having patience against whatever comes up in life. And the best training for it is fasting. I do thank you, brothers and sisters, for listening. And please do not forget to recite the Fatiha for my grandfather. And please keep me and the team of Daʿwat al-Rāfiḍīyah in your dua. Please subscribe to the channel and check us on social media.